Hello everybody and welcome to day 22 of 30 Days of Godzilla. Today we're going to be discussing the final entry in the second series, the Heisei series, Godzilla vs. Destoroyah. It's a toss-up between this one and Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah to decide what is arguably the best in the second series. I mean, most people generally have those two on the top of their lists of the best in the second series. It's a tough one, but let's see if we can find the clear, definitive answer to that. Of course, it's all opinion-based, but I want to know if I can find that answer. So, let's dive into this awesome display of greatness. Seeing as this was originally the final Godzilla movie made by Toho, they decided to go off on a high note. This movie has a lot of suspense and intensity right from the beginning. So Godzilla shows up not in Japan, but in Hong Kong. We see him and there's clearly something wrong with him. He's glowing this orange and letting off a lot of heat. Basically what's happening here is Godzilla's heart is like a nuclear reactor. It's out of control and it's starting to melt down, and at 1200 degrees Celsius he's going to explode. We've gotten hints of this red atomic breath in Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2 and Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla, but he absorbed too much nuclear energy and his body just can't take it. As far as villains go in this movie, the main villain, Destoroyah, as it turns out, was created as a result of the oxygen destroyer in the first movie. There's a lot in this movie that ties into the original film. For instance, the actress who played Emiko in the first movie is back here. The oxygen destroyer is a key plot element to this one, because that's what Japan wants to use to kill Godzilla, because tanks and missiles could inadvertently trigger Godzilla's temperature to rapidly increase, which causes the explosion, which would wipe out the entire planet. So Japan has a lot against them in this movie. It's very intense, especially right from the get-go. To counteract Godzilla, Japan unleashes the Super X-3. Now this machine uses freezer weapons to keep Godzilla's temperature cool, and I do want to add that the effect of Godzilla freezing is pretty impressive, actually. I wish I knew how they did it. Now when the Super X-3 had unleashed its freezing power against Godzilla, certain chemical implications took place which changed Godzilla's initial explosion to a meltdown. Now, in the movie, they make it clear that the meltdown is kind of worse, but in reality, it's not as bad as a full-blown explosion, which would wipe out most of the planet. The meltdown basically is going to superheat the core, and the Earth will just implode, and a bunch of other stuff. It's pretty crazy stuff. Anyways, when Destoroyah first appears, there are several of them, and they look rather crustacean-like. They also have the mouth inside the mouth, just like the xenomorph from Alien. I would assume that it's most likely a tribute to Alien, but I could be mistaken. Anyways, after the first attack by the Destoroyah creatures, Godzilla Jr. shows up, and what do you know, he finally looks just like Godzilla. Although his dorsal fins aren't developed yet, it's still the best his son has ever looked. I mean, they took forever to get the design right. Meanwhile, the Destoroyah merge together to form one large Destoroyah. So the JSDF comes to the conclusion that due to the high amounts of micro-oxygen emitted by Destoroyah, they think that it might be able to kill Godzilla. So they use Junior as bait to lure Godzilla into battle against Destoroyah. So Destoroyah and Junior have a battle, and Destoroyah kind of kicks Junior's ass a little bit, but Junior is able to use his atomic breath and seemingly takes Destoroyah down. Then Godzilla shows up, and they have a touching moment where they start to call each other, until the final form of Destoroyah shows up. Talk about a holy shit moment. Destoroyah looks like Satan himself when he emerges from the building. I mean, if you were to tell me what I think the devil in monster form looks like, I'd probably just point to Destoroyah as, you know, an example of what I think it looks like. He's pretty crazy looking. In the final battle, Destoroyah knocks down Godzilla, then he picks up Junior and drops him from like 1,000 feet in the air, and then falls onto a bunch of buildings, and he just blasts the ever-loving shit out of Junior. After Destoroyah drops Junior from like 1,000 feet, he takes his tail, wraps it around Godzilla's neck, pulls him all over the ground, and just drags him all over the pavement. And Godzilla's face is hitting, and he's just like, ah, ah, ah. Godzilla and Destoroyah keep fighting, but even Destoroyah is no match for Godzilla's rage. But while this is all going on, Godzilla's temperature keeps on rapidly increasing, and is almost at total critical mass. The military begins to realize that Destoroyah is probably not going to be the one to get the job done by killing Godzilla, because Godzilla is just too much right now. So they decide that the most effective way to effectively finish off Godzilla is to freeze him when he exactly reaches 1200 degrees and minimize the damage. So they went from trying to avoid all damage but they inevitably knew that Godzilla being destroyed is going to wipe out and eliminate some lives, unfortunately. Godzilla continues his battle with Destoroyah, but I will admit that I think it's rather anticlimactic to see Destoroyah get taken down by the military. Although in the alternate ending, it's Godzilla who ends up killing Destoroyah. I mean, the reason they wanted to change it up a little bit is because they wanted Godzilla's death to be the main focus of the film. I mean, you can still have both. I mean, if Godzilla destroyed Destoroyah, I know that's weird to say those two words together. Godzilla destroys Destoroyah. You can then afterwards have the military like, Godzilla destroyed Destoroyah. And now he's melting down, so it keeps the intensity up, but just having the military be the ones to take down Destoroyah, are you kidding me? Anyways, after Destoroyah gets killed, Godzilla finally starts to melt down. And I have to be honest here, people, watching Godzilla melt down and die right in front of your eyes, as a kid, it's probably one of the saddest moments in movie history. I became really close to crying here because the music that fits in, everything plays together so emotional, and it's very sad. So Godzilla finally melts away just as the military freezes him with everything they got. It's honestly a really beautiful moment. The music and everything just meshes together so perfectly. In the end though, the entire amount of radioactivity gets channeled into Godzilla's son. This fully heals him when he grows to a full-size Godzilla. Thus he finally inherits his father's title as King of the Monsters. Well, that was Godzilla vs. Destoroyah, and after rewatching it, I'm going to probably rank this one as the best in the second series. It's just the way it's gotta be. It's really good. Destoroyah is a pretty cool villain. I mean, I like how the movie ties into the original. The suspense is kept up because Godzilla is basically a ticking time bomb ready to go off. And the ending is pretty emotional, and it's a nice way to close the second series. I like how Junior inherits the title of King of the Monsters because I feel like it's a very fitting way to end the series, but also leave it open for a potential sequel or something like that. Although they did reboot the series with Godzilla 2000, they never did follow up on this angle, which is kind of disappointing, but it's still a great way to end the second series. So that concludes reviewing the second series, and honestly, the second series is still my favorite out of the Showa, the Heisei, and the Millennium. Every entry, it has like some good stuff here. I mean, none of the movies are bad per se. I feel like the second series is the most consistently good Godzilla's ever been. I mean, there's some good stuff in each entry, so second series, thumbs up for me. You'd think I'd be in a better mood, but unfortunately tomorrow I got to talk about an incident that took place in 1998. It's going to be great. I can't wait to discuss it. I'm just so happy right now. So anyways, everybody, stay tuned for that because it's going to be great. I'm not going to be upset in any way whatsoever, so I thank you all for watching. Come back tomorrow for my next Godzilla review, and yeah, I'll see you all soon. Bye-bye now.